Welcome, focused learners, to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because we are tackling one of the most frustrating universal experiences in all of recreational sports, hitting a massive wall with your progress. If you've been playing pickleball for a while, you know the exact feeling, right? You climb the ranks pretty fast, from an absolute beginner to a solid 3.0 player. But now, well, no matter how much you play, you just kind of can't seem to beat those 3.5 players. It's like you're stuck in mud. Today, we're going to break completely out of that plateau using a brilliantly structured, proven 30-day self-coaching system directly from Mauro's book, Pickleball Without a Coach.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this quote right here is the hard truth we all need to hear. Think about your normal routine. You go to the courts, you put your paddle in the rack, and you just play game after game. Now, recreational open play is incredibly fun, no doubt about it, but it is the exact reason you are stuck at your current skill level. Open play simply reinforces the habits you already have baked in, both the really good ones and, unfortunately, the really bad ones.
All right, let's get into Section 1, Escaping the 3.0 Trap.
So what exactly is this trap? Well, it's basically running out of things that organically improve just from playing. Just showing up and swinging your paddle has major diminishing returns. To escape, we first need to clearly define the transformation we're actually aiming for here. A 3.0 player generally survives by just waiting for their opponent to mess up and make an error. They might try a third shot drop, sure, but it's wildly inconsistent. Now, a 3.5 player, on the other hand, they actively control the kitchen. They sustain long dink rallies without panicking at all. They land their drops reliably to buy themselves crucial time. And they deliberately choose their targets instead of just, hitting the ball wherever it happens to go.
So why can't you just play your way into being a 3.5? Here are the 3 specific reasons open play completely fails to improve your game. First off, it doesn't isolate specific skills. You might hit 10 dinks and maybe only 2 third-shot drops in an entire game. That is nowhere near enough repetition. Second, there's zero granular feedback. The scoreboard tells you if you lost, sure, but it doesn't tell you that your paddle face was wide open on your reset. And third, open play does not purposefully increase pressure. To actually grow, you need to do things that are slightly harder than you're comfortable with over and over again. Moving right along to Section 2, Fixing the 5 Leaks. Now, leaks are these specific, repetitive, mechanical, and strategic errors that are just quietly draining points away from a 3.0 player. Almost every stuck player has at least 2 or 3 of these going on. Let's rapid fire through these 5 leaks. Number 1, hitting the wrong third shot. That means driving the ball when you definitely should drop it, mostly because you don't trust your drop. Number 2, the inconsistent dink that pops up high or just slams into the net. Number 3, taking 3 steps after return and just parking yourself right in no man's land, that really dangerous transition zone where you have absolutely terrible options. Number 4, hitting highly predictable serves and returns to the exact same spot every single time. And number 5, having a slow kitchen transition. That's when you hit a gorgeous drop, but completely forget to move your feet forward to actually take advantage of it. And this brilliantly illustrates the mental pivot we absolutely have to make to fix those leaks. Playing is just reusing your existing habits. It's actively avoiding your weak spots because, well, you want to win the rec game today. Drilling, however, is repeating the right thing on purpose, doing it often enough that your hands literally stop having to ask your brain for instructions.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 4-lane system.
To make deliberate drilling happen without dropping cash on an expensive coach, Mauro introduces this highly effective methodology. And the best part, it doesn't even require you to have a dedicated court all to yourself. Let's break down exactly how these 4 lanes function. Lane 1 is solo work. It's just you, a paddle, and a driveway, fixing your individual mechanics and footwork. Lane 2 is the wall, giving you high-volume consistency. Lane 3 is working with one partner at a cooperative pace to really learn geometry and targeting. And finally, Lane 4 is live play. But remember, this is the test, not the training. It's simply where you measure your pressure tolerance.
I really want to pause on Lane 2 for a second to focus on the number 1,000. That is the sheer, mind-boggling volume of practice you can get from the wall lane in just a single session. Look, the wall doesn't get tired, it doesn't judge your weird grip, and it certainly doesn't miss. You will easily hit 1,000 dinks or drops against a wall in the exact same amount of time it takes you to play a single 15-minute game of open play. That massive volume is exactly how you reprogram your muscle memory.
Let's dive into Section 4, the 30-day practice plan.
Let's move to and see how this builds week by week. It seriously requires just 20 to 30 minutes a day, 6 days a week. If you follow it religiously, it is entirely enough to completely rebuild your on-court habits in a single month. Week 1 is all about the foundation. Yes, it's boring, repetitive consistency for your dinks and drops. Week 2 adds touch and transition. This specifically teaches you the reset shot and the footwork needed to escape no man's land. Week 3 shifts to patterns, where you finally start choosing targets and reading court positioning. And finally, Week 4 manufactures pressure, throwing everything you've just learned into heavily restricted live play.
And that leads us to Section 5, Decision Rules for Live Play.
So once you've drilled all those physical inputs, you desperately need mental outputs so you don't have to freeze up and think on the court. These rules are designed to act as automatic software for your brain. Let's look at a specific live play scenario to see these rules in action. Defending a speed up. When a super fast ball is suddenly blasted right at your hip, the 3.0 player's natural instinct is to swing hard and counterattack. That almost always results in popping the ball up for a smash or hitting the net. With the 3.5 player, they apply the reset rule. They hold their ground, soften their paddle grip, and hit a soft block right into the kitchen to instantly neutralize the threat.
Then we have the absolutely crucial drop rule for the third shot. A 3.0 player will so often drive the ball out of pure panic or inconsistency, resulting in a perfect feed right to their opponents waiting at the net. A 3.5 player drops by default. They use that soft, arcing shot to buy the one thing they need most in that moment: time. Time to safely advance up to the kitchen line. They only ever drive the ball when the opponent's return is exceptionally high and short.
Now, what's really fascinating is the psychology behind the middle rule. When opponents are split down the middle of the court, a 3.0 player just sort of watches and hopes the opponents get confused and bump into each other. But a 3.5 player actively and deliberately targets that middle space. They know for a fact that below the 4.0 level, hitting the middle simply wins you about 20% of your points. Why? Because it naturally exposes the slower player, the lower paddle, or just plain old awkward hesitation.
So the crucial point is really captured perfectly in the first 3 shots rule. 1. Serve deep and make sure you vary your pace. 2. Return deep to keep your opponents pinned back. 3. Hit that beautiful third shot drop we just talked about. If you can reliably execute just these first 3 steps, you have already won the strategic advantage for the rally. Honestly, the rest of the point is pretty much just arithmetic from there.
And when that point does inevitably extend into an endless dink rally at the kitchen, we rely on the patience rule. You see, a 3.0 player gets so bored after about 5 or 6 shots. They want the point over with, so they force an attack on a completely unattackable ball, pop it up, and lose. The 3.5 player, they are perfectly fine hitting 15 dinks in a row, no sweat. They simply wait patiently for the opponent's paddle to dip first.
Which brings us to our final and arguably most important question. Are you playing to win today's meaningless rec game, or are you actively practicing to win tomorrow? The 3.0 plateau is not a skill ceiling, my friends. It is a practice ceiling. If you are finally willing to stop relying on endless open play, grab a ball, find a solid wall, and commit to this 30-day structured self-coaching system, you will absolutely break through to the next level. You have the blueprint. Now, it's time to get out there and put in the reps.